I'm so happy to see you today. I am going to chat with you today about something that is super important to me and something that I have struggled with for a long time. I finally feel like I understand this topic on a level that has really helped me create so many things in my life that I love. But today we're going to talk about when you're struggling with purpose, when you're struggling, maybe in this season of life, to feel like your life really has purpose and meaning. And I'm going to start by telling you a story. We talked about this a little bit last week on the podcast because I think a lot of times we feel like, oh, if I live this American dream and if I, marry the right person and go to the right college and get the right job and have the babies and do all the things that we think we're supposed to do, that we will feel purposeful, that we will feel like, okay, I've arrived, I'm happy, my life has meaning. And we talked about last week how that's kind of delegating something to your circumstances that they can never create for you. The perfect house, I mean, I live in a gorgeous place here on the lake. Um, the perfect house, the perfect family, the perfect job are never going to give you that sense of meaning and purpose. The other thing is that I remember when I quit my job as a family doctor. So, a lot of you know that I used to practice medicine. I was kind of like Izzy on Grey's Anatomy. I'm sure you can imagine this if you've been following me for very long. I did crazy things when I was practicing medicine, like drive my patients home and give them money. I had two patients in particular that would just come to my front desk and say, "Can you ask Dr. Edie if she can give me some money?" And I would. I was like an old country doctor, going to people's houses, and I set my exam rooms up, so that they would feel cozy and comfortable. I think I really had the sense back then that being a healer and helping people really find true healing in their lives was way more than what prescriptions I could write. I didn't really understand the full picture of it then. I feel like I really understand it better now. But even back then, I thought, oh, this is how I can help people. And then when I gave that up, what I realized, and some of you are going through this right now because you're in a season where either something is changing, maybe your babies are going to school, maybe your babies are going to college, maybe your babies are getting married, and you're at this sort of transition point. And for me, one of those big transition points was when I came home after practicing medicine and didn't have anything right away lined up to do. And I started to really slip into some anxiety, some depression, some real dark times because what I had done is I had delegated my sense of meaning and purpose to my job. I had what society would think of as a big, important job. It's funny because although I loved practicing medicine, I can't imagine not doing what I do now. And what I do now is so much less glamorous. I'm just at home here creating content, coaching women, helping them figure out, rediscover their purpose, figure out, what their giftings are. Like it's really you might look at my life and go, "Oh, that's really glamorous," but the day-to-day life isn't glamorous. And the funny thing is, though, I feel such a deep sense of purpose and meaning in what I do now. And it took me a long time to get here because I had delegated that out to my job. So if I have a job that society recognizes as important, then I feel purposeful, meaningful. I feel like I'm doing it right, whatever doing it right means. And what I have realized, and I'm sure that if you're in a transition like this, what you're realizing is that no matter what the job is, no matter what your circumstances are, your situation, maybe your money situation or whatever it is, when we delegate our sense of meaning and purpose to something outside of us, it never works. So, I want you to think about areas of your life where you're doing this. Maybe while your kids were home and you didn't have an empty nest, maybe it was easy for you to think, well, of course, my life feels purposeful. I'm helping raise these humans. Or maybe while, like me, you had a job that society, decided was a big, important job. Then you can have this sense of purpose and meaning. But when I stopped working, I realized like, oh, I've been trying to get something from that job, or maybe for you, it's from my role as a parent or from my status financially. We're trying to get something from that we can't get from that. It just doesn't work. And I realized in that moment that something really needed to change. I knew that I had to do something different than I had seen modeled. I knew that I had to really align myself with how I was made. And what I discovered, I spent about 10 years after I quit my job as family doctor. I spent about 10 years like studying the great writers, poets, theologians. And what I learned from them is that we kind of have it all wrong. We're not meant to live a life where we organize everything externally so that it gives us some internal sense of peace and joy or whatever. The other thing that's so common in our society is that we seek like a life of ease or pleasure because we have this sort of tendency to think that, oh, well, when I get to retirement, I'm going to create my life so that I can finally take it easier, so that I have this sense of pleasure. And when we seek that first, it often leads to this deep lack of meaning and purpose. We're really not meant to just live a life of ease and pleasure. We really are meant for adventure. We're meant for this grand story that God has placed us in the middle of. And maybe you're in the same boat and you feel like you followed the plan. The thing about my journey is that I feel like I followed the plan. Like I did the thing despite coming from, a difficult upbringing. Like I got the job, I went to school, I did the thing. So I don't even have the right to feel a sense of, lack of meaning and purpose. I felt guilty for feeling that way. We talked about this a little bit last week, but if you wake up with this sense of, is this all there is? It doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It means that you're a human with a human brain that you haven't quite learned how to manage in a way that really gives you the life you want. Now, on the surface, it makes sense that, oh, if I had a great house and a great spouse and a good family and the best job, then I would feel whatever, but it just never works. Just look at Hollywood, the people that have all the perfect things and are some of the most miserable people in the world. And so often, you guys, we're still buying into this lie. We think that our satisfaction and our deep sense of meaning and purpose is just around the corner. One more cute outfit, one more amazing vacation. By the way, I'm wearing this adorable leather pantsuit today that I rented from Nuuly. So if you've never heard of Nuuly, I have been renting. You can rent like pieces of clothing to just see if you like it and try it out. I thought, oh, that looks really fun. Probably something I would never actually buy. It is pretty comfortable, but it's kind of toasty. So just so you know, the satisfaction doesn't come with that next cute outfit or that next amazing vacation or whatever your next financial milestone is or whatever. And it doesn't mean that you're weak or that there's something especially wrong with you, that you feel this sort of, is this all there is? Deep sense of dissatisfaction. No, it means you're human and your brain is wired to keep chasing things that will never satisfy you. We say this in our coaching program a lot. You can never get enough of what you don't want. I can't remember if I first heard that from a coach who coaches in my program, Aline, or my coach, but it has just stuck with me. You can never get enough of what you don't really want. And we are not wired to just seek all of this ease and these external things that we think are going to satisfy. And here's another truth bomb. This way of living where we're seeking the next thing that we feel like is going to satisfy us is not only leading to deep satisfaction, it's not only not leading to deep satisfaction and purpose, it often brings home a host of its own problems like relationship issues or financial problems because we're overspending or we're overeating, weight and health problems because our brains are just wired to seek dopamine and temporary relief from what we feel like is the stress of life. I know this all too well. I can't tell you how many things I've chased over the years to try to answer that question, is this all there is? Now, I want to share with you a huge paradigm shift. This is going to change your life if you can really, really grasp this. This concept changed my life so much. Purpose and meaning are created by you, in your mind, with your thinking. That thinking, believing that you were created with purpose, that what you do has so much purpose and meaning, just that shifts your emotional life. So we've been seeking all of this temporary pleasure to sort of escape our negative emotions, but we're creating so many of the negative emotions just by believing like, oh, in this season of life I don't have purpose. Purpose is just it's just you deciding that you do have purpose, that what you're doing matters, and that soon if you believe that, practice that belief long enough, it will start to feel like, oh my gosh, my life is full of purpose and meaning, and what I'm doing matters. And you could be doing the exact same things you were doing a month ago. But because you decided to intentionally do things with purpose and meaning, then you get to experience those positive emotions that come from knowing you're doing what matters. And that's why in Life Mentoring School, my program, we talk so much about renewing your mind. I know that some of you haven't had a chance to join us yet in LMS, but I want you to know that we have a workshop coming up all about this, all about living your purpose. How to know when you're seeking it in all the wrong places. How to really wake up to what it's causing in your life, to how it's causing this sense of you wasting time and you not doing what matters, and that leads to dissatisfaction not just with yourself but with everybody in your life. And we're going to talk specifically next week about really the downstream effect of what happens when you don't decide to live with purpose and meaning. And once you figure this out, you guys, your brain will stop working against you. I want you to join this challenge. We start on Friday. You can't quite sign up for it yet, but we will be sharing the link on Instagram. So go there. This is a 3-day Live Your Purpose challenge that is going to be September 20th, 21st, and 22nd. You will learn the secrets to creating meaningful, purposeful days over and over and over again. And when you stack a bunch of meaningful, purposeful days over and over and over, you get a beautiful, rich, meaningful, purposeful life. And I have just enjoyed this work so much. I love helping women find these little paradigm shifts. We feel like we need to just overhaul our whole lives. Most of the time, it's the slightest epiphany, it's the slightest paradigm shift where we can start thinking differently. I just want you to decide today that you will do what you're doing with purpose, with intention, and with meaning, and just see what happens. It's so magical how your life begins to change when you change that one little thing. Make this one shift. Okay, thanks for joining today. I'm so happy to see you. I can't wait to see you next time. Bye for now.